Hey everyone, nice of you to be here. If you're listening to this and are interested in following what I have to share, um, so I haven't shared for a while. It's been maybe a couple of years since I really shared, and the reason is because, and I think this is good for any person, is I took time for myself and really deeply went within because I'm on a massive healing journey, an awakening journey. And this may not be for everyone, you know this may not be for everyone. I encounter a number of people that are just not on the same page. And so what do you do? you know what do you do in a world where people are all going in different directions, have different viewpoints, are more split and scattered than ever, confused, lost, or clear, or think they're clear, or know what they want, or think they know what they want? What do you do? you know when you want to create a space of coherence and resonance and like to build harmonious, like-minded networks and communities of people. It's difficult, especially when you have, which I see from many people in the world, trauma, childhood trauma, deeply ingrained trauma around disconnections, distrust, not able to really build that resonance from within and with the outer world. And if you run, and this is, so I'm explaining to you also this journey that I'm on, where no matter how much healing work you do and how much increase in resonance, there's still that part of I have to do it on my own and figure it all out and hope for the best. Do you resonate? Do you know what I mean? And that is the essence of a wound that is collective. Many people share it. But a large part of humanity isn't awake and conscious enough to realize that. And so they're not in touch with that wound. So they're fine. They're fine at the level at which they operate, although it's dysfunctional. Let's be clear, it's dysfunctional. But then, what gets really disappointing, as I take the space to share with you some of my heartfelt disappointments, it's when we see spiritual teachers and communities and healers and these people that make these big promises around how they can support you in the process of going to these higher places. And let's be clear, it's not untrue, but it's more about what are the nuances that they can't help you with, that they're not sharing, that are very significant if you're stuck in blind spots where you're not able to do it on your own. And you need that support, and you're counting on that support because you've been broken in your trust, and you need to find your way through that. What then? It's very specific, right? But I bet many of you will resonate with that. And then what most people do is they find a way to continue anyway, which is ultimately the path. But is it the path of building the right type of resonance together, the right type of heart-based true connection? Is it the right level of intimacy that we want to build with each other? Because let's be clear, in this world, intimacy is very diluted, fractured, split, broken. at the core level of how we as humanity relate to each other in many ways. And I've done a lot of work. I've done tremendous amounts of inner work. In fact, I've dedicated my whole life to it, all day, all night, pretty much 24 hours a day. I'm working through stuff to get to these higher resonances where the world becomes different. Because I literally am unable on many levels to function in this earthly world the way it's set up, the way people relate to each other, the way expectations, social pressures, work obligations, demands, responsibilities work. That's quite vulnerable to share as a healer who wants to show up and help people. But the funny thing is, that's the only way I want to show up to help people, because if I present myself, this is what also many healers and teachers do, present myself as this person who's got it all together and knows exactly how it all works and has all the answers and stuff. That's ego. And it's not just ego in a negative sense. It also is grandiose, it's inflated. These people tend to make promises that they can't deliver. You know? You recognize any of those people? That's why I took a time out. I don't want to be that type of healer. I don't want to be that type of person. I want to bring through pure and true imprints that people really need, that are stuck in places that their life becomes hell. Let's be real. Their life becomes hell. Most of society doesn't want to look at that, which is why we've created hell on earth in many ways. So they don't want to look at that. People don't want to look at the negative aspects. But that's where the power actually lies, is in those suppressed, judged, and unutilized areas of our psyche and our frequency realm of our body, the densities, the genetic, and the deeper, what am I going to say? The levels of where we have the most wounding, the most hurt, the most pain, the most closure, the most disconnect, the most grief, the most anger and rage. That's actually where, if we can find the enormous bandwidth of self-love to feel and be in touch and share and show up with those parts and use them, we give permission in our state of being to other people that come into our field to also allow themselves to use that. That's the way through a lot of the misery and drama and hell that we're experiencing in the world right now. And then there's that part, right? And I want to talk about this with you. That part about the world is awakening, the world is changing, we're going to a new place. So I want to also, I wasn't going to say bust that myth, because it's not a myth. It is happening. But to what extent are a lot of healers and teachers exaggerating what is happening, right? And make it into something that we're all waiting to happen. It's another one of those things. We're waiting for the world to awaken so that we finally can have a good life. I've been one of those. Waiting for those promises to happen so that my life that wasn't working and still isn't working in many ways in the 3D world that I don't want to be part of for the most part. When is it going to change? When is it going to get better? Many people are not awakened. Just go out to the local areas and see. And I'm just going to use the word, how stupid many people are. How unconscious, but also just low vibrating behaviors. They're not interested in awakening. They're not interested in becoming conscious. And then there's that argument that gets often used also in very advanced healing circles, that these people will automatically come into alignment to this higher resonance because they have to. I think the timing on that, it may be true, but the timing of that, we shouldn't be waiting for that to take place. And also it's the responsibility of those people themselves. If they want to awaken, they need to choose to do so. And honestly, there's also this question, is humanity going to survive if they don't? Debatable. I don't have the answer. I don't want to have the answer. I'm just bringing up the discussion. But again, it's pressure, right? I've been under that pressure cooker a lot to get to these higher levels to help people out, because humanity must awaken, because otherwise we won't make it. Is that the right reason to show up in the world? Is it coming from my own heart, my own self, or is it coming from, for example, a whole bunch of ancestors, collective, our lineage, the social pressures, family system that has not lived their fulfillment and potential, and is pressuring for that to be different in this generation that I'm in, that I'm of, that I'm living. It's a little bit reminds me of the how women have a biological clock and then must have kids, right? No matter what type of situation, hormones. Is that in their own best interest? I don't know. I'm not a woman. But I think my observation and experience is that many times it comes from religious pressures, family pressures, patterns, and repeat patterns of needing it to be that way, because that's the only way that love will be maintained, if we do it in accordance to what's expected of us. That's not a healthy reason, I don't think. So these are just some of the things that have been on my mind in a bigger sense. And the beauty of all of that is that I don't have to solve any of those issues. You know, I was on a track before, really, of trying to come to a full resolution of everything. But now it's like, okay, but there is, the more that wants to be, the more that pressure comes up for resolution of all of those issues, the more we fill in something that is meant to be explored in openness with a different answer for everyone. You know? It's about holding that state of openness, giving that space. And as I'm talking, I'm bringing that through here also in this update. And you may be able to pick that up and feel that. Creating that openness, you know? Yeah. That openness, so that people can be themselves, speak their own voice, take up their own space. This is an important one for the feminine aspect of us that has not had a lot of space in the world. And the space, now I'm going to go off into a deeper topic here, but the feminine aspects that have taken up space have actually not been able to take up their true self space. So it's become a distorted version of showing up. Either through selling themselves or suppressing themselves or dominating and being successful in not in alignment with self type of way. Just notice if you can feel that, especially if you're a woman, but also men. Feels heavy and exhausting, right, to do things that way. But then we're told that it doesn't have to be that way and we don't need to sacrifice and we can have all we want. Then the question is, when we don't know how to get there, those things don't show up the way we want. And then we're stuck doing it by ourselves again because we hope we can find out how. And then when we are stuck and alone, and our wound is that we've been abandoned and not supported, then we're trapped, essentially. Then again, in this moment, as we're connecting, as you're connecting with me, we're connecting together. Hold that open space for that wound, you know? Don't have to fix it, don't have to resolve it, although it may seem like it wants a resolution, an answer. The answer is to hold that space for more love to come in so that those gaps, those traumatic induced gaps in your system, so we all have an energetic frequency based system, requires more love. And that's actually the imprint that I want to bring through more. You know, it's the imprint that I have a lot of experience with issues that require an enormous amount of love that I didn't know how to digest. So I was always overwhelmed because I was going to higher and higher levels where issues were just becoming more intense. Because that's what happens. There is actually a resonance that you can increase within yourself. But that's the path of awakening. And when you find the right people to support you to take you there, the irony is that it's not per se better. It just makes your issues that much harder. It's like driving in a Ferrari on a freeway at 200 kilometers an hour, 250 kilometers an hour, 300 kilometers an hour. You can't make any more mistakes. You need to balance everything constantly. Every microsecond matters, you know? When you're driving in a small car, on a small road, in a small town, it doesn't really matter. It matters a lot less. Don't have to be quick. Your reactions don't have to be quick. The issues of your life don't get amplified to that level where it expects you to balance it out with more love. It doesn't have to be like that. So the question is not whether awakening is better than not awakening. The question is really, how can you increase the bandwidth of love for yourself with everything that shows up as you grow? And this is where I do believe that there's also many healing and teaching knowledge that tells you that on the one hand, you don't need anyone, everything's within yourself. Yeah, that's true. We're all whole and complete within ourselves, and we have a connection to this divine. That's the essence of where we all come from. That's our spirit connection around us. Sure, that's all true, and that's a very big part of it. But we also need support. We need imprints. We need examples. We need role models. We need people that give us inspiration. I needed that a lot. Can feel the grief in my system as I mention it, because being disappointed so often in that area. And it's also has a gift in it, because that disappointment was I needed to become the person that I wanted to be and that I would have wanted to have, you know? But then it makes you wonder, well, if I needed to become the person that I needed to be, that I wanted to have, then other people that listen to me also don't need me, because they can do it on their own. So it becomes this mind fuck again. Don't find a solution, because it dismisses when you're in that state. If you're really pure, you question these things because you want to do the right thing, and otherwise you don't want to do it. See, I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this for the truth. I'm in this because I want to show up. That's the truth. There's actually a lot of energy being transmitted through my heart space here as I'm sharing this with you. So this is a pretty deep session for an update. But then again, I'm allowing everything to be the way that it shows up. There's so much dysfunction and misalignment and incorrect interpretations of things that needs to be pulled into more coherence and purity of truth. You know? It would be nice if one day this world acknowledges that, goes on that path, shares what they've learned. Everybody has unique experiences that lead them to have unique imprints that they can bring to other people. If we were collaborative, and maybe that's out there somewhere. Not saying that doesn't exist. Maybe many people have that. Tribal cultures certainly do. They still exist in the world. But it's nice to, as that shows up here in the discussion, to just allow that, again, without resolution, to just show up as a feeling that is a longing or a desire or a want. So it feels like this was a transmission here that is coming to an end. I'm aiming without promise or expectation, to do these more regularly. And my website's not yet fully ready, but it hopefully will be soon, as I'm updating and bringing through new sessions that you may find eventually on the recording page. Those are frequency infused meditations like I'm doing in this talk update, with transmissions of energy that go pretty deep into the physiology and the psychology and the frequency systems of your body and your life. If you listen to those, you'll begin to resonate with those things that are valuable for you to go through, but from a place of more and higher love, so that you actually change and transform in your inner world perceptions and feelings around who you are, as you let go and release some of those heavier thoughts, feelings, burdens cellularly in your DNA, etc., etc. That's really what it's about. So hopefully then we'll connect again next time, and also guided to say here to really pay attention, because you may really feel some shifts in your system. You may even get detox from this, as you're disconnecting from some of these gaps that have been filled in with your mind before, and may now be pulling back into an openness where more love wants to come in. So have a good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are when you're listening to this, and speak to you again next time. Bye-bye.